and this is the Age Group Multisport Podcast with me, Richard Conway. This is a platform for age group multisport athletes to showcase their journeys. Welcome along to episode 65 of AMP, and a happy new year to you all. I hope you had a great Christmas and a great new year, and you're looking forward to 2023. We had a good one, quiet-ish Christmas, and then we had the boys back and their partners over New Year, so that was really cool. Had a nice celebration and lots of games were played. I was introduced to a new game which was so simple but so much fun. It was called Pass the Pig. Basically, you have these two tiny pigs and they've got black dots on the body, and you throw the pigs, simple as that, and it depends how they land depending on how many points you get. And the premise of the game is to get to 100 points, and you have so many throws, and if one pig lands on its side with a black spot, then you lose all your points. So if you get some good points, you've got to bank it. And it was a good laugh. It was a right laugh. So for next Christmas and New Year, I recommend you get Past the Pig, because you'll have a really good laugh. Yeah, we had a really good Christmas and a really good New Year. And now we're back into podcasting and getting some training done. Putting together diary for this year of races we're going to enter, and just getting the season ready really, and hopefully we'll have a more profitable season than last year and we can stay injury free and crash free, so that would be cool. Thank you once again for taking time out to give us a listen. We are going from strength to strength. We're getting more and more listeners, and I think that's down to one thing and one thing only, and that's the fantastic guests that we've had on over the last couple of years. They really do make the show, and everyone's individual and got their own fantastic story, and to get to where they've got to. And we all know that actually took that path, how hard it is. On a consistent basis, it's continuously hard work, and you've got to put the effort in, and the main thing is that you've got to be consistent. And today's guest is no exception. And we have Dr. Heather Lambert from up there in Newcastle joining us today. And another great story. She's with a lot of our athletes, very, very humble. She started racing in 2013. She just turned up at one of the events, and she'd put a tenner in and thought, she'll have a go at duathlon, and finished on the podium, qualified, started having self-doubts, as she mentions in the interview, and didn't really want to go, and then, as we'll hear, something happened to change her mind, and she's never looked back from that event. With her 11 starts, she's had 9 podiums and 4 wins. And she doesn't mention any of that in the interview. She's the current European and world sprint duathlete. She won in Targu Muurs and she won in Bilbao at her age group. So yeah, quite an athlete. Really enjoyed speaking to her, and I hope you enjoy Heather's story, and also what she's quite passionate about is climate change. And she goes into one of the organisations that she does a lot of riding for, which is Ride for the Lives. We discuss a little bit about that, and we'll put more details of that in the show notes and at the end of the episode. So that's coming up. So what's been going on? Christmas, New Year, like we said earlier, has come and gone, and kept a little bit of training going throughout the period, as well as not being very well. Like a lot of people I've heard have come down with either flu or COVID, and it wiped me out for a couple of days. But okay now, I'm back on it. And as I mentioned earlier, I've started my training diary that I got for my birthday, and it's a diary by Joe Friel, and basically it's just a book that allows you to keep records from day to day of what I've been doing. And it's also got a yearly planner in it, so you can plan out your season and plan and prioritise your races. So I've had one of these diaries for a number of years now. I get one usually for my birthday every year, and 1st of January I started up again. So that's pretty much what I'm going to be doing over the next few days, looking at races and work out what I want to do. So if you've not come across it before, have a look. Really worth grabbing hold of a copy. And again, it's called The Triathlete's Training Diary, and it's by Joe Friel. Having not been working, I've not listened to too many podcasts over the last couple of weeks. But what I did come across was a YouTube channel by one of our age groupers, Lee Barker. Lee basically started triathlon in 2015 after he got disillusioned with running, and he got addicted to the multi-sport world, he said. And he started making these videos about a year ago, and they're really, really shot professionally and well. He's got a company in that follows him round and goes to some of his races and watches him training, and they're really cool. So have a look, say on his YouTube channel, which is Lee Barker. He's also got a website, and that's called Becoming Fastest Oldest. And basically, it's just following him. He wants to become age group world champion at duathlon. That's his goal, and he's putting his heart and soul into it. After retiring, he sold off his businesses, and he's now putting everything into trying to become world champion. And that includes training camps abroad, training camps at altitude, travelling all over the world, and training 10 to 15 hours a week. So it's fascinating to watch, especially from an age grouper perspective, to see somebody actually almost living as a pro would live and train, but at age group. So search him out. I'm open to get him onto the podcast. We are in communication at the moment, and it will be fab to get him on and hear his story firsthand. Watch this space. Right, on to the main event, and hope you enjoy Heather's story. We'll see you on the other side. Well, thank you for coming on and giving us your story. Much appreciated. And it's lovely to meet you. Had a really nice chat. So let's get into it. What was your sporting background growing up?
So I was in the hockey team, and then I didn't do anything very much. I always rode a bike, like at medical school. I rode a bike and did some bike touring when I was at medical school. And then you just work. I'm a junior doctor. I was a junior doctor then. And then you work all the time. And so all your sporting stuff kind of stops. And I suppose I took up running again when I came to Newcastle, which was the early 80s. And I came to Newcastle and worked in the paediatric department, and everybody did the Great North Run. Everybody talked about the Great North Run. Everybody did it. Everybody was asking if you were doing it. And I'm going, what's this thing? And so I kind of got back into running by doing that. And we kind of pushed kids in wheelchairs and all sorts of things. But it was very much what everybody did. And loads of people at the hospital where I worked did it. So I started running a bit then I had my kids, and then I started running a bit more seriously, joined a running club, ran lots of cross countries and stuff like that. So I at one point was kind of got into the England vets cross country team. So that was fantastic. There's a kind of selection process for doing that. So I did that for a few years. And I did a few marathons, ran 4 marathons, but largely did kind of half marathons and things. And then I started getting cartilage problems in my knees, and had operations on both knees. And I'd always cycled, but I did the thing that everybody does when they're getting into triathlon and stuff. I went, I'll do triathlon as a different thing to do to try and protect me.
How did you find out about triathlon? What sort of year was this?
Probably around 2005, 2000, right. Somewhere between 2005 and 2010, I started deciding to do some triathlon. And that was through a friend that I ran with. So my friend bought a road bike. I cycled to work. I've always cycled. I had the kids in trailers and bike seats, and I mean, biking is what I do. But I'd always just done that. You just do it. That it wasn't something I'd done as a sport. I never thought of it as a sport. It was just a way of getting around. And one of my friends bought a road bike and gave me a go on it, and I went, whoa, it's like the first time you get a bike. It's like so different to anything else you've ridden. And I was kind of cycling around going, wee, this is great. And I kind of thought, and it was through her that we got into doing triathlon. Do this, how hard can it be? And I wasn't a very good swimmer. I barely learned to swim as a child, and I was a kind of breaststroke swimmer, head out of the water, never owned goggles, never put my head in the water. So for my 50th birthday, so where does that take me? I was born in 1957, so my 50th birthday, so that'd be 2007. I treated myself to swimming lessons.
Right.
So for proper swimming lessons, taking it right back to basics to learn how to do. So then in about 2012, 13, there was a local duathlon in Morpeth. And that's about 15 miles north of here. And me and a few friends entered that. And I'd never done a duathlon before, and it happened to be the qualifier for the World Championships in Ottawa. And so I kind of signed, paid my £10, signed on the dotted line, and won my age group.
Wow.
And so I then got this place to go with the GB team to Ottawa. And originally I wasn't going to go. I thought, who do I think I am? This is ridiculous. I couldn't possibly be good enough to be in the GB team. I've never done this before. And then something happened that made me just think, actually, I've got an opportunity to go. It was a ridiculous thing, actually. I had a hairdresser's appointment, and I had only managed to get this hairdresser appointment because, and I went and I said, it's really difficult to get an appointment. And my hairdresser said, it's because the person who should have had this appointment can't come because they got knocked off their bike. And I suddenly kind of had this, how you have these kind of brilliant flashes of kind of, oh my goodness me, that could happen to me. I need to seize every opportunity. So at that moment I went, I'll just go to Ottawa. So I went to Ottawa. My youngest child, my daughter, who was about 15 or so at the time, came with me, and we went for a week, and I went with the aim of not coming last. That was all I wanted. I just didn't want to be last. And I had the best time ever. It was just fantastic. So out with the GB team, all the kind of parading out with the flag and having your photo taken and stuff. And I got a bronze medal there.
Wow.
So it was absolutely overwhelming. It was really, really hot. They had us go off about 1:00 in the afternoon. It was so hot. And as I didn't know where I was, but I just kind of gave it everything. And I trained really, really hard from the decision to go to actually going. And as I crossed the line, there were 2 Americans on the line looking out for me and kind of grabbed me as I came across the line, because they'd got the gold and silver,
Right.
and they were looking for the bronze person in their age group. And that was just, it just kind of struck me that was, that's what it's like, that actually it's fiercely competitive between the start line and the finish line. But on either side of those lines, outside those lines, it's fantastic. It's like a big family. It's lovely.
Yeah. Yeah.
So then I just started qualifying to go to more, really.
Yeah. Just going back to finding out about age group then, how did that come about?
That must have been through doing the Morpeth Duathlon.
Right.
So signed up for the Morpeth Duathlon, and it was advertised as being a qualifier for the GB age group team.
Yeah. So then you just did a bit of research to what all this GB team was all about, and
yeah. So I went on the website, and my friend said, "Oh yeah, I'm going to enter that," and it was only £10 to register, and I thought, well, why not? Without I didn't think I would ever really do it.
Yeah. Well, that's actually it's what I say quite often to my teammates. What have you got to lose? It's £10. Yeah. You don't know how you're going to fare on the day. You don't know who's going to turn up, who's not going to turn up. So you've got nothing to lose. Put your £10 in and have a go. Yeah, absolutely.
And that going to Ottawa with the team was just phenomenal. I just can't. I mean, I met people there that I still see at the kind of GB events, and it's absolutely fantastic. And I suppose I've been to something every year since, right? Apart from the COVID years. Mm-hmm. So I've either been to the Worlds or the Europeans.
Yeah.
So I've kind of. Now I go to the I will obviously make sure I go to the qualifiers, so that I have more than one chance of qualifying.
Yeah. Okay. So what sort of distances and events do you actually target then?
I'm just doing sprint.
Yeah.
So sprint duathlon. Yeah. I would like to move up to standard distance, but I've never quite found the time to, because I've only just retired this summer.
Okay.
And so it is something I might think about doing, trying to move up the distance. And because I know quite a lot of other people that do both events. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I just haven't had the time really. Yeah. And in fact, since I've been retired, I've been away so much on my bike. I've kind of discovered my bike again, and I've been away for weeks and weeks on it. So
yeah, cool.
So it's not good for the running training, but it's great for the cycle.
Yeah. And would that be a standard distance in duathlon, or would you try triathlon?
Yeah,
just duathlon.
Yeah. I mean, I'm thinking of doing another triathlon, but I would never get me in the team.
No.
And I don't really like the open water washing machine thing.
Yeah.
I did do actually the year before COVID, so 2019. I did that thing that they did in London. So if you'd done the London Marathon and you'd done Ride London and you did the Serpentine 2-mile swim, you could get a Conquer London medal. So I did the Serpentine 2-mile swim that September.
Yeah.
So that was great, actually. That was fine.
Yeah.
It wasn't like a race start.
Yeah. The thing is, you've got to enjoy what you're doing, haven't you? And if it's not your thing, then, duathlons, I always say, and people are probably sick of me saying it, but I think they're harder than triathlons, to be fair, in my experience.
People kind of think you're cheating because you're not doing the swim. Well, I have had that, it's not proper.
But I think it's just because I think it's just because triathlon is such a big thing in the world of sport, isn't it? With the Brownlees and everything else, that duathlon isn't, and it's not world championship. It's not on the TV. It hasn't got the stars. And however, a lot of the triathletes do duathlons as well. So
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because it's I suppose it's good kind of training for them.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've got all the gear to do triathlon. I haven't got a um, like an aero bike. So that was that was another thing that made me stick to sprint duathlon, because when the rules came in maybe 5 years ago or so, where they suddenly said that you had to have a road bike for sprint distance, but you could have an aero bike, or a proper sort of tri bike with aero bars for standard. It suddenly meant you really needed two different bikes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so I plumped for my 60th birthday. I bought myself a new bike, and I plumped for a road bike. So I sort of made a bit of a decision then to go for a really good road bike. I mean, I have loads of different bikes, but they're kind of, I have a mountain bike and a shopping bike and a folding bike and a just getting to work secondhand bike. So the last thing I really wanted was to buy yet another one.
It's not so much the buying, isn't it? It's the storage. That's the problem.
Absolutely. Yeah. My garage is full of them, and the good ones are in the house, and the tatty ones are out in the garage.
Same. Yeah. Cool.
Yeah. I love my road bike though, and I love my touring bike as well. I have a very good touring bike, and in fact, I've spent much of this summer doing bike rides in Europe.
Yeah, nice. Whereabouts in Europe did you go then?
So I've been doing some cycling. I've got involved with I'm very kind of keen on kind of climate change and trying to air pollution and trying to draw attention to it. So there's an organisation of medics, doctors, and other healthcare professionals called Ride for Their Lives, and this time last year we rode with some documents up to COP26 in Glasgow.
Okay, yeah.
And then following that, COP27 this year was obviously in Egypt. And so in the lead up to that in May, I cycled from the UK to Geneva to link up with some people at the World Health Organization. And then I've just come back from a trip in October where we cycled from Geneva down to Naples. And on the way, we linked up with various climate activists and doctors and paediatricians and people who were really just trying to raise awareness and educate people about the problems of air pollution particularly. And of course, the bicycle is part of the solution. We don't need to invent solutions. We have the solutions. We need to get away from fossil fuels, and we need to change our transport structure and use bikes. And I think a lot of people have known that for a long time, but we're not doing it. So we know the answers, we're just not doing it. So a bike ride is a kind of good way of, in a way, drawing attention to that and trying to get other people kind of motivated and active. So that's been fantastic.
Yes. Well, it sounds a well-worthy cause. Is there any social media links that you want to tell people about so they can have a look at it?
Oh, definitely, yeah. There's a Twitter account at Ride for Their Lives.
Yeah.
Not that I'm sure we should still be using Twitter. I'm about to leave, but
right. I don't use it a lot myself, so I don't.
I mean, it's a good platform, but it's now owned by Elon Musk, and I can't support anything that he does. I mean, he's treating his people and the social media so badly. I don't know where to move to. Anyway, enough of me ranting about Twitter. So, and there's Ride for Their Lives has its own website. Maybe shall I send you that in an email? Can't remember what it is off the top of my head.
Yeah, you can do. That's fine, and then I can just put it in the show notes. That'll be great. And I can mention it when I edit this. I can mention it at the end as well. If you send me,
that would be fantastic, because on the Ride for Their Lives website there are links to the non-fossil fuel proliferation treaty, which we're trying to get people to sign. And there are links to a kind of climate prescription, basically calling on people to stop using fossil fuels. Air pollution is one of the major health risks. It's probably the biggest health risk we have. It's bigger than COVID. It's bigger than any of those things that people are so worried about. And we're not really doing anything about it, or we're doing very little about it. So that all kind of links with the whole duathlon training. I went to Spain I went to Bilbao to the Europeans. I can't remember the world. And I also went to Romania to the Worlds this year. And each time I had just got back from mega cycle trips, and I just blasted it on the bike, even though I hadn't done much kind of race training. I'd just done so many miles of day after day after day, cycling with luggage, cycling over the Alps, all that sort of thing. It certainly gives you a fantastic base for racing.
I was going to say, great base training there. You smashed it.
Absolutely. Yeah. So amazingly this year I've got the World Championship and the European for my age group.
Cool. Well done.
It's probably the best year to do it though, because I've just moved into the 65 to 70 age group.
Right.
So at that age, every year makes a lot of difference. It's
youngest of the group. Yeah.
Absolutely.
It really doesn't matter what the age group is. It's so competitive regardless, isn't it? And I think the middle ages, I think between like 50 and right up to your age group, it's just so competitive and so it's filled with so many athletes in those groups. You look at the whole age group list, and it's always those age groups that have got the most athletes trying to get in and qualify. So competitive.
Yeah, it's fantastic though. It's amazing to see people out there. I went to a race in the spring, and there were like 8 women in my age group, all trying to get these 3 places in the team.
Yeah.
And we all finished within very few minutes of each other, so there's people who are really competing at a high level. And that's fantastic to see. Yeah. I think it's absolutely brilliant.
It's inspiring. It really is inspiring.
It's really inspiring. I look at people older than me, and I go, I want to be doing it like them.
Yeah. We all do, I think. We all look at that, don't we? All look at the age groups above and think, wow, I just want to keep on going and keep doing it and just live this lifestyle, because you feel so good for it. Yeah.
And I feel the same about parkrun. I'm a great parkrun fan. So one of my training runs each week is parkrun.
Yeah, parkrun's just amazing, isn't it? The whole concept of parkrun is just phenomenal. There's never been anything like it. It's just, it's free. It gets all different kinds of people out. It's just so good. It's genius.
Really and it's so social. It's so lovely. And when I've travelled to do the kind of age group races and things, I've always tried to do the local parkrun. Wherever I am, it's just amazing. And it's a really good training session. Really, really good.
Yeah.
It's all. I suppose I think I possibly I like to feel fit and I like to feel strong, but it's almost more about keeping my head in gear. It's the reason I do it. I just feel better.
Yeah. Well, exercise does that, doesn't it? It just makes you feel better. Yeah. And I think it gives you a sense of purpose as well, to get up every day and and just get out there and train and have a goal. So it's fantastic.
And certainly without the kind of aim of the whole age group stuff and knowing the fierce competition, that's a great motivator. I know the other people in my age group. I've raced against them. They've beaten me. I've beaten them. We're it's a really good motivator, actually.
Yeah, cool. Well, brilliant. Well, well done for already qualifying for next year. Which races did you do to qualify?
Well, I suppose because of my position in this year's races in Romania, in Targamuras and in Bilbao, that automatically qualifies me.
Right. Yeah.
But I also did, I think I did, somewhere near Nottingham, National Trust Place, Clumber Park.
Yes. Yeah.
I did Clumber Park, and I did one at a racetrack near Bedford. What was that called? A really old-fashioned racetrack. The park was amazing. I'd never done Clumber Park before, and that was really fun.
Yeah.
I can't remember. It was near Bedford. Isn't that ridiculous? I can't remember what it was called. Anyway, there we go.
Yeah, no worries. So how were your experiences at Romania and Bilbao? You obviously did very well.
Targamuras is great. I love the event in Targamuras. It's a really small town, and your people are very welcoming to you. And it's all kind of sent. I don't know if you've been to.
Yeah, I raced the first time they held it there.
When it was the European 3 or 4 years ago. Yes, I did that as well.
Yeah.
And you can't walk up the street without seeing loads of people. Like I love it, that everybody's sitting outside in the cafes because everybody's staying in the same place. Bilbao, so Targamuras was great, loved it. And Bilbao was a lovely city, but because it was very spread out and a big city, you didn't bump into people quite as much.
Yeah.
So I enjoyed Bilbao, but it didn't have the same atmosphere. I think my favourite place is probably somewhere like Pontevedra.
Right. Okay.
Of all of the places I've raced, Pontevedra is just the best.
Why is that then?
It's lovely. It's a beautiful town. It doesn't have any traffic in the town. It's a pedestrian-only town centre. It's all cobbled and lovely. It's very small. Again, you bump into people in the team because I'm always pretty much always travelling on my own. Although my kids have occasionally come with me, and so it's nice to just bump into people and socialise and stuff. And I also like hills, so Pontevedra was great because the cycle route is up a hill. Yeah. And I'm better on hills than I am on the flat. I'm probably similar build to you. I'm a climber, not a power on the flat.
Not a power athlete. Yeah. I agree. That's pretty much why I'm not really keen on race tracks as bike legs actually. And unfortunately, there seem to be more and more race tracks that they're using these days for qualifications. But it is what it is.
Yes. Do you do standard distance or long?
I usually do sprint duathlons and standard triathlons.
But race tracks they have their advantages, don't they? Because at least you're not looking out for cars and things.
True. Yeah.
But they're quite tedious, even for a sprint distance.
Yeah. I did a couple this year, and they were quite different. Alton Park was quite challenging because it had some good inclines, and then
yes, I've raced at Alton Park. That's nice. I like it there.
Yeah, I thought that would suit you. Yeah, and then Darley-Moor was like really flat and a really short lap. It was about 2.5 kilometers per lap, so you're doing 8 laps. So that in itself, trying to remember 8 laps is a feat when you.
Yes, is Darley-Moor the one near Bedford with the lake in the middle?
No, it's
because that one's a really small track, and we had to do like 9.5 laps or something.
Yeah.
And trying to remember those and have a system that it was really hard.
Yeah. Yes, but there you go. I mean, you've just got to, like you say, they are safer, and I think that's probably the main reason why the organisers are doing it and putting them in there. Really.
Yeah.
Cool. So I think we've covered pretty much your history there. Then is that fair to say? I mean, we did skip quite a lot.
Whittled on a bit.
Not at all. No, it's been really interesting. I mean, you did say you did move. So you've been a GB athlete since 2013. Was that right? Was that about right?
Yes. Yeah.
So you've qualified at least for every year apart from COVID, like you'd said.
Yeah, so I did Ottawa, and then I think Pontevedra,
Yeah,
Aviles. I went out to Australia, to Adelaide. I did Penticton. Adelaide was brilliant. Adelaide was fabulous. Although I did probably my fastest time, probably my best race, but I was like seventh.
yeah,
The Australians and New Zealanders are phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. Penticton was good. I did Penticton, maybe 2017 or 18. Then Punta Umbria, Ibiza. I did the
yeah.
Europeans in Ibiza. The only problem with Ibiza is that all the events are at different sites,
That's right. Yeah,
and
yeah,
it's like the town. The town's quite nice that everyone sort of stays in for the sprint, but then it's quite difficult to see any of the other events.
yeah, yeah. Because they're either in the Ibiza town or over the other side of the country, aren't they? The
Yeah,
island rather.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah. So
yeah,
it is a bit
yeah,
awkward.
yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah.
but
So I've
yes,
got to go to lovely places. Really, I
yeah,
mean, it's all been fantastic. I think I've
yeah,
been twice to Pontevedra. Um, Probably, yeah. I didn't go the second time to Aviles,
yeah,
but yeah, they're all
yeah,
fun places to go.
yeah. And it's a great way of seeing the world and places of the world that you wouldn't probably ordinarily think of going. Romania is
Yeah,
like one of
yeah,
those, isn't it? You would never probably
yeah.
think about going to Romania.
No,
Um,
no,
yeah,
no.
but
And
what a
I
great
loved
place.
it.
Yeah,
Yeah, my the first time when it was the Europeans, both my kids came out. One of them only came for the weekend to watch me race, but my daughter came for the whole week, and we
yeah,
spent a lot of time at that wonderful sports complex. You know, the one just about a mile north of the town.
right.
They've got like three Olympic-sized swimming pools,
Yeah,
and grass and tennis courts, and I mean, absolutely amazing sports
yeah.
facilities. When you think, we have virtually no Olympic-sized swimming pools in the country. Um, yeah, I liked all those places, and you'd never go to them, would you? Really?
You wouldn't. No. So just moving on then to training.
Yeah.
How does that work for you? What have you got a coach? Um, do you just self-train?
I kind of self-train largely because when I was working, which I was till this summer, I had to just fit it round. I was on a 1 in 4 on call rota, so 1 in 4 weekends I was doing, and I'd be on call for a whole week, and actually it's quite difficult to fit in with what somebody else wants you to do when you're doing that. So I used to train really early in the morning, um, be up at 6 to do my running and stuff like that. Um, since I've retired, yeah, I'm doing juggling a bit more. But I mean, there's a coach at the running club, so I'm a member of a local running club, and we have a
Yeah.
coach at the running club. And then I've also, since COVID, have joined a gym where I have a coach to do kind of weights and
Hmm.
strength training
Strength
and stuff
training.
like
Yeah,
that. So
yeah,
that's a new thing for me, and
mm,
that's been because I think as you get older, I think as sort of post-menopausal women, it's really hard to keep your fitness, and also to not get injured and to not break bones when you fall and
mm,
stuff. So
yeah,
so in a way, my focus at the moment, my focus in the kind of gym training is very much to keep my strength up and keep my bones strong
yeah,
and not get injured.
yeah.
So
And
I do
also,
have some coaching.
yeah, and also, I mean, as you're getting older, you're losing muscle mass anyway. Sarcopenia. It's so important to keep that going. So yeah, you're
Yeah,
absolutely
yeah.
100% right to get in the gym and keep your strength up.
Yeah, yeah, and I have sort of set programs for doing that. I've been to the gym at 7 o'clock this morning to have an hour session, and
Yeah,
and I'll do that 3 times a week.
yeah, yeah,
I like it; it's fun.
yeah,
I like the
yeah.
weight
It's good.
thing
It's good. And it,
because I go and I do what they tell me what to do, and that's really good.
yeah,
Yeah,
cool,
I, I,
excellent.
I probably should have a coach that kind of ties everything together, but there's a limit to how much you can be told what to do, isn't there?
Yeah, there is, yeah. And I think, to be honest, experience that you've got racing and stuff from back in the day, yeah, they can plan it all out for you, and they can tweak things here and there, but it's obviously working for you anyway, isn't it? So
yeah. I just sort of combine it, combine what I learned from the running training and combine what I learned from the gym and stuff.
yeah.
And I go to some oldie swimming sessions, but I'm still in the slow lane there. I've been doing that for 10 years and I'm still in the slow lane.
That's all right.
I don't think that's going to get much better.
Well, it is what it is, isn't it?
It's my sort of non-training, on my rest days,
Yeah.
I'll swim. Because I mean, it's good for you, I think. But I'm never going to break any records at that.
Right, we'll finish up with a few quick fire questions that I always ask. Excuse me. The first one: what's your favourite bit of kit?
My bike.
Your bike. And what bike have you got?
I've got a Specialized Amira. Oh no, an S-Works Amira in a beautiful shade of turquoise. It's iridescent.
Very nice.
It's lovely.
Sounds ideal.
I love
Lovely.
it. Love it to bits. It's quite. I mean, it's 5 years old now.
Yeah.
But I absolutely love it. Yeah.
That's a favourite answer from everybody. The bike.
Is it the bike? Really?
It's the bike, really. Yeah. Everybody says the bike.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. I went for before I decided I was going to buy a really good bike, and I went for a bike fit because I'm quite small, and I had proper professional bike fit. Fantastic chap. And he said, right, there's 3 frames that will fit you. And it was this Amira. There was a Cervelo one and a Giant Live one, and then he found me this bike. It was secondhand from a bike shop that had spec'd it for one of their bike people to race. So it was all spec'd for racing. And I said, send me a picture of it. And it was this beautiful turquoise blue. And so having gone through all the tech stuff about what I'd have and this and that and all the other, in the end, I bought it because I liked the colour.
Yeah, great. Well, it's as good a reason as any.
You have to love your bike, though, don't you? You have to feel good when you get on it.
Yeah. Well, you spend a lot of time on it as well.
Yes. Yeah.
Good. Great.
Yeah.
So what sort of training devices and things do you use to help you? Like what resources do you use to help your training?
I have some weights at home, like kettlebells and things, which I occasionally use. I have a turbo trainer, which I don't use enough. I'm going to have to this week, but I hate it.
It's such a good piece of kit, though. It's so people get this.
I know.
I've got to sit on the trainer, but you do things on that trainer. I was saying to my wife exactly the same. She's like, "Oh, I really don't want to go." And I say, "You go on it. You'll do things on there that you won't do if you're out on the road. Especially if you're on Zwift, and I'm not plugging Zwift or anything, but that's what I use. And there's so much on there that you can use to get you doing different things like speed work and hit sessions and strength work. It's just so good. And people say, "Oh, I really don't like it. It's so boring." And you can race and you can do TTs and you can do all sorts on there.
I think that's where my training needs to go. And you've absolutely hit on the fact that I kind of have this, I don't really want to do it. But everybody says that you need to just get on something like Zwift and then it will be fun. Because it has to be fun for me. I know it's hard work, but actually, life's too short to spend your life doing things you don't want to do.
Yeah. Absolutely,
and there's a certain element of, I don't want to get up at 6 o'clock in the morning and go out in the dark and run, but actually once I'm across the threshold, I love it. Yeah. So, and I kind of haven't got the getting across the threshold bit for the bike yet. So that's what I need to do, because I think I could really improve my biking.
100%. Yeah, no. Well, you've only got to look at the people that actually do use the turbo trainers, and it's professional cyclists, it's professional triathletes. They're using this for a reason, and the reason is, like I've said, a lot of it you wouldn't do out on the road, especially bike riding. Yeah, running you can do on the track, and you can get those sessions in.
Yeah.
But biking, it's such you've got to be so disciplined to do those sorts of things.
I should think of it as a track training for the bike,
Yeah, yeah,
really, shouldn't
that's exactly what it is. That's exactly what it is, and that's what I said to Kate, my wife. I said, "Look, we go to the track on a Saturday morning, and you don't
I?
mind
Mhm.
doing that." And actually, this Saturday it was that bad. We actually went in the gym and used the treadmill, but did the track session that the coach gave us on the treadmill. And I said,
On the treadmill.
this is exactly like Swift. You know,
Yeah,
it's what you
yeah,
do. So
yeah.
yeah, and she's coming around to the idea.
I'm in my brain. I've got it there. I just haven't quite got my
Yeah,
bike set up in the right place, and
yeah, yeah,
it's
yeah.
got to, yeah. That okay, okay. The incentive, having talked to you, I'm going to go and get
Not that I, I'm not, you do. But like I said earlier, it's obviously working for you, whatever you're doing. So don't listen to me.
No, I think a lot of people have said you just have to get on Zwift and do it.
Yeah,
So yeah, loads of people have said that to me, particularly through the winter, because I
yeah.
do find it's much easier in the summer when I can really get the
Oh,
miles
definitely.
in.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. 100%. Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
What resources do you use, if any? Like what websites or books that you've read or um, things you listen to? Anything to help you train or?
Um, I don't know really.
Mm,
I suppose odd things on the internet. No, no particular thing. I did read that chai running book. Chai running, chi running.
yeah,
Um, so I've done stuff like that.
yeah, yeah.
But yeah, it's all a matter of just tweaking what you try and do, isn't it?
Sure. Yeah, cool. And what advice would you give to anybody wanting to start in triathlon or trying to qualify to become an age group athlete?
Oh, just do it. Just get into the races, do your regular training, and have a go at qualifying, because as we were saying before, if you don't know who's going to turn up on the day, you don't know if you're going to have a great race, you don't know if someone else is going to have a puncture. You've always got a chance of qualifying, and it I think to actually go to some of these events, I can't tell you how much I like the kind of support and friendship and that atmosphere of just everybody being just very supportive to each other. And I do anything to try and keep hold of that. So yeah, my just advice, get out there, train, and try for it.
Cool. Great answer. And finally, what are your short-term and your long-term goals?
Short term next year, will be they're quite early in the season, actually, both the Europeans and the world. So there's Ibiza and
Venice.
somewhere else, Venice. Ibiza and Venice. Yes, yeah. So those are my targets for next year.
Yeah.
So Ibiza and Venice. I'll also do Ride London next year, and may even try a little bit of other racing or cycling. And then Ride for Their Lives, we're planning, because we can't cycle to Dubai, which is where COP28 is, we're probably going to cycle into Africa, so down through Spain into Morocco. So we've got
Nice.
a bit of planning to do for that.
Yeah. Sounds
So
great.
yeah, yeah. So lots of stuff.
Lovely. Anything else that you'd like to add?
No, it's been nice talking to you. Actually, it's quite nice
Yeah.
to be asked about things like. I mean, I just love it all. So it's quite fun. I mean, I think one of the problems is a very privileged section of society that can do this, because
Yeah.
it is expensive,
Yeah.
and traveling to the events is expensive. Getting your bike. I mean, what I would love to say, actually, is, would Eurostar please start taking bikes again? Because getting your bike into Europe is a nightmare now, because Eurostar won't take bikes in any form, boxed, unboxed, fully, they just won't take them. And they used to before COVID and Brexit, and now they won't. And so your only option for getting your bike into Europe, if you don't want to fly, which I try not to do as much as possible, is to go to a ferry port, get your bike across on the ferry and then take the trains, because the trains in Europe are brilliant. You
Yeah.
get around by train really well.
Yeah.
But yeah, Eurostar, get your act together.
Yeah. Well said.
Because
Well said.
we want to be, we want to be we want to be kind of responsible and not fly if we can. And there's lots of places you can easily get to on the trains. Trains in Europe are brilliant, but
Yeah.
we need to be able to take our bikes.
Yeah.
And I have to say, last time I sent my bike with Nirvana to Bilbao. Great service, but 300 quid to
Was
ship
that how
your
much
bike.
it was? Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's absolutely crazy. And then I actually sailed across the channel on a catamaran, and then got the train and TGV down to Spain. So
Yeah.
that was all fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, getting it's not very good for the climate flying around everywhere.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
True.
if we could do it,
Very
if we
true.
could do things by train, that would be really good.
Yeah. Cool. Thank you for coming on and giving us your story. Much appreciated. And it's lovely to meet you. Had a really nice
to meet
chat.
you. Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's these things inspire other people. This is the whole point of the podcast. Somebody will listen to this and they'll hear your story and think, yeah, I could do that. I'll give it a go.
Yeah, well, that's what you've got to think. I could do that. I'm 65 and I'm still doing this, and I just want to get better at it, and or decay less quickly. I think that's maybe the other option.
Yeah.
But
lovely.
it's good for you. Good for your mental health. Good for your physical health.
Yeah, fabulous. Well, like I say, thank you ever so much for coming on and taking the time out to speak to us. Much appreciated.
Lovely to talk to you. Good luck with all your racing as well.
Yeah, thank you ever so much.
Bye.
All right, take care. Lovely to meet you. Well, that was an absolute pleasure to meet Heather and listen to her journey and her story. Such a humble lady, and even though she's retired, her work continues through Ride for Their Lives. And like Heather mentioned, a group of healthcare providers protecting children at the present, riding thousands of miles to protect the future. And it's a well-worthy cause. So if you would like to know more, they're on all the social medias. Ride for Their Lives is their handle. And they have their own webpage, which is climateacceptancestudios.com. So head over there, see what it's all about, and maybe you want to take part and get involved. Thank you once again for listening, and if you could spread the word about our podcast, I would be much appreciated. If you do have time, you could rate this podcast on Apple Podcasts, and I think you can now do it on Spotify. Subscribe to our podcast channels and follow us. That would be great as well. And you can leave some comments, or you can get in touch with us on social media. We're on Instagram at amp_1967. You can DM us there. Facebook is ampgb. We're on Twitter at Age Group Multisport Podcast. And we do have a YouTube channel, which is ampgb. Our email is agegroupmultisportpodcast@gmail.com. So drop us a line, get in touch, DM us. If you would like to come on, please share your story, inspire others like Heather's done today, and we'll get you on and we'll have a chat. So that's it for now. We'll see you next time, and don't forget, stay safe, keep training, and love the process.